Paradox Pokemon will be making their debut in Pokemon TCG. Let's have a look at these unique Pokemon, starting off with the ancient Paradox Pokemon. With the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet came a brand new form of Pokemon, Paradox Pokemon. While these Pokemon may seem somewhat familiar with similarities to Pokemon we know and love, they are entirely new Pokemon with new Pokédex entries from either the distant past or the future. The different types of Paradox Pokemon are specific to each game, with Pokemon Scarlet having the past forms and Pokemon Violet having the future forms. In the main series games, they have no gender and cannot breed or evolve. The first sightings of these elusive Pokemon took place 200 years ago in a place called Area Zero in the Paldea region, and were initially believed to have been made up by a scientist known as Heath. Using a time machine, Professor Sada or Professor Truro sent Pokeballs into either the past or the future in order to bring these Pokemon into the Paldea region. These Pokemon will eventually make an appearance in Pokemon Go in years to come, so let's take a look at them. The ancient Paradox Pokemon all share the abilities affected by harsh sunlight in battle. With the exception of Koraidon, who has the ability Orichalcum Pulse, they all share the Protosynthesis ability. They have many design aspects reminiscent of dinosaurs and are said to potentially be 1 billion years old. All of the ancient Paradox Pokemon are physically larger than their modern counterparts. Koraidon is the Pokemon Scarlet Legendary and the very first Paradox Pokemon you encounter in the game. It bears a resemblance to a new Paldean Pokemon known as Cyclizar and is considered to be an ancient relative of it. It is a dual fighting and dragon type, and you have the ability to ride the Pokemon. It can run, climb walls, jump, swim, and even fly while carrying you on your journey. It is unusual in that while you obtain your original Koraidon incredibly early in the story, you can also obtain another Koraidon post-game. It is also known as the Winged King. It will likely feature as a legendary 5-star raid boss when it debuts in Pokemon Go. The Pokédex entries read as follows. In Scarlet, it says, "This seems to be the Winged King mentioned in an old expedition journal. It was said to have split the land with its bare fists." In Violet, it says, "This Pokemon resembles Cyclizar, but it is far burlier and more ferocious. Nothing is known about its ecology or other features." In Pokemon Scarlet, Great Tusk is the only other Paradox Pokemon you can encounter outside of Area Zero. It has consumed Herba Mystica to become the Quaking Earth Titan and has a future Paradox counterpart known as Iron Treads. Both resemble Donphin but have no known pre-evolution. Great Tusk has the look of a woolly mammoth, truly earning the name Great Tusk, and is a ground and fighting type Pokemon. Their Pokédex entries read as follows. In Scarlet, sightings of this Pokemon have occurred in recent years. The name Great Tusk was taken from a creature listed in a certain book. In Violet, it reads, "This Pokemon resembles a mysterious Pokemon that, according to a paranormal magazine, has lived since ancient times." The adorable Scream Tail is an obvious past version of Jigglypuff and is a dual fairy and psychic type. It is described as being ferocious and as having a distinctive scream and tail, hence the very imaginative name. It is still very cutesy like Jigglypuff, but gains some vampiric teeth Of all the Paradox Pokemon, Screamtail has the biggest stat increase and literal size increase when compared to their original counterpart. Their Pokemon entries read as follows. In Scarlet, it says, there has been only one reported sighting of this Pokemon. It resembles a mysterious creature depicted in an old expedition journal. In Violet, it resembles a mysterious Pokemon described in a paranormal magazine as a Jigglypuff from 1 billion years ago. Brute Bonnet is a grass and dark type and is an ancient relative of Amoonguss. Despite being an ancient version, it still bears the resemblance of Pokeballs and is rumored to have dinosaur ancestry. It gains spikes on its head and appears to be growing moss on its body. Their Pokemon entries reads as follows. Scarlet says it is possible that the creature listed as Brute Bonnet in a certain book could actually be this Pokemon. In Violet, it says it bears a slight resemblance to a Pokemon described in a dubious magazine as a cross between a dinosaur and a mushroom. Not sure I've ever imagined that cross before. Flutter Mane is the past Paradox version of Mischievous, gaining more elaborate hair, feathers, and spikes on its head. It is a dual ghost and fairy type and is referred to in a magazine in the main series as potentially being the ghost of the pterosaur. Flutter Mane has the highest base special defense stat of all Paradox Pokemon, but also has the lowest base HP, attack, and defense of all Paradox Pokemon. Their Pokédex entries reads as follows. In Scarlet, this Pokemon has characteristics similar to those of Flutter Mane, a creature mentioned in a certain book. In Violet, it has similar features to a ghostly pterosaur that was covered in a paranormal magazine, but the two have little else in common. This is definitely a Pokemon I cannot wait to see, not even to mention encountering it. Slither Wing is the ancient Paradox version of Volcarona, and it has a future Paradox counterpart in Iron Moths. Unlike Volcarona, it does not seem that Slither Wing can fly, as it is only ever shown walking on the ground. It is a bug and fighting type, and out of all Paradox Pokemon, Slither Wing is tied with Iron Moth for having the smallest increase in base stat total from its original version of Volcarona, with an increase of nearly 20 points. Their Pokédex entries read as follows. Scarlet says, this mysterious Pokemon has some similarities to a creature that an old book introduced as Slither Wing. Violet says, this Pokemon somewhat resembles an ancient form of Volcarona that was introduced in a dubious magazine. Sandy Shocks is an electric and ground type Paradox Pokemon that appears to be the ancient version of Magneton. Unlike Magneton, it does not evolve, nor does it have a pre-evolution. Its magnets appear to be covered in iron filings, and it uses some of its magnets to be able to walk along the ground rather than float like its more futuristic forms. Like all Paradox Pokemon, Sandy Shocks does not have a gender, but unlike other Paradox Pokemon, the relative versions of it, Magnemite and Magneton, also don't have a gender. In Scarlet, their Pokédex entry says no records exists of these Pokemon being caught. Data is lacking, but the Pokemon's traits match up with a creature known in an expedition journal. Violet says it slightly resembles a Magneton that lived for 10,000 years and was featured in an article in a paranormal magazine. Roaring Moon is unusual in that it seems to be an ancient relative of Mega Salamence rather than just Salamence, with their Pokédex entry referencing a phenomenon that occurs in a certain region. It is a dual dragon and dark type and keeps the moon-like appearance that Mega Salamence has, becoming feathered and fearsome. It is considered the counterpart of Iron Valiant, as both share a base stat total of 590 rather than 570 like all the other non-legendary Pokemon. The Pokédex entry in Scarlet reads, "It is possible that this is the creature listed as Roaring Moon and an expedition journal that still holds many mysteries," versus Violet. According to an article in a dubious magazine, this Pokemon has some connection to a phenomenon that occurs in a certain region. Walking Wake came as a surprise Terra raid with the announcement of new DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet on Pokemon Day. It is a water and dragon type with obvious references to Suicune in their design. It was first glimpsed in a book in the library in Scarlet and Violet, but is actually bipedal, which the teaser image was not. It has the ability Photosynthesis and currently has no known Pokédex entry information. We will have a part 2 for the Paradex Pokemon Future Edition. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to be on the lookout for the future Paradox Pokemon in our next video. Have a good one. Cheers.